This is part 3 of The Walking Dead Season 7 premiere, Episode 1, which is the Season 7 premiere, the title, The Day Will Come When You Won't Be. We left off where, in part 2, we left off where Negan, who is annoyed that Rick doesn't seem to get that, Rick's under Negan's control, attempts to make Rick chop off his own son's left arm to try to, get to Rick and tell him, I want you to understand you're under my control. And in order to test that, you are going to cut off your son's left arm. And just before he's about to do it, he stops Rick because he sees now that Rick is seriously broken and sees that Rick is fully under his control. As is everyone else in Rick's group. I said Nick. Rick's group. As Negan pretty much, he lets them know that he left the truck for them, right? And pretty much gives them orders saying, you have 1 week to gather up the provisions we want to satisfy us saviors. And unfortunately, another shocker, just as they're leaving Rick's group, they decide to take Daryl away. Negan pretty much tells the saviors, take Daryl away as a prisoner. Because, he intervened, he punched Negan, right? And also, remember, Negan spared Daryl because he sees potential in Daryl to be part of his group, right? So I wasn't surprised that I was semi not surprised they took Daryl because of the fact that despite getting punched by Daryl, Negan spared him because he saw potential in Daryl to be part of his group. So that's why I was partially not surprised that Daryl got taken away by the saviors, but again, I was somewhat surprised. I thought, they would keep Daryl with Rick's group a little longer and then maybe take him later on in the season. But they took him right away, so yeah. Daryl gets taken away by the saviors, leaving Rick and the other survivors left there. And Negan even warns Rick that if he crosses him again, he will cut Daryl into pieces. No, wait, strike that. If I remember correctly, Negan warns Rick that if Rick crosses him again, Negan will make Rick cut Daryl up into pieces at his request. And then they leave, and Maggie is extremely sad, and she walks over to Glenn's body, and she's urging the rest of the survivors to avenge Glenn's death, right? And we also see a moment where Rosita and Sasha also mourning over Abraham's body, and they actually have a bonding moment too at that same time. And Maggie, she tells Rick to go back to Alexandria. But the group's strong bond, they're like, no, we can't go back to Alexandria. We need to stick together, and we cannot let you go alone to Hilltop. We can't let you go alone. And their strong bond, obviously, their bond's going to be 10 times more stronger after losing 2 of their own. Not only seeing 2 of their own get murdered in front of them, but having a third member pretty much taken from them. 2 of their own were killed in front of them. While a third member, yes, he is alive, was pretty much kidnapped, right? So, of course, their bond's 10 times stronger, and they're not going to leave Maggie alone to go to Hilltop alone. So, pretty much the bodies of Abraham and Glenn are picked up. And as that's happening, we see a dream sequence where it shows the group. And it looks like they're having a Sunday picnic dinner together, happily eating together. And it breaks my heart because at the head of the table is Glenn. And he's holding a baby, which I'm presuming is his son. And when I saw that, I literally burst out in tears because Glenn never got to meet his kid. And seeing that scene, what could have been happy times, and Glenn holding what could be his son, that literally broke my heart. It was just so sickening and wrong. And at the end, they're driving away in the RV to get Maggie some help at Hilltop. And Rick, he's looking in the rearview mirror as he's driving away in the RV, and they see this walker approaching where they were. And the walker, this is disturbing, he's eating what remains of his friends, Abraham and Glenn, on the ground. And it's sickening. It's just really sickening. And the scene pretty much ends with the camera literally staring into Rick's broken eyes. He is obviously just broken. Negan just tore him up. And it's just wrong. It really is wrong. Like I said in the previous videos, two videos, I predicted Abraham's death. If you looked at my 4 videos on who I predicted Negan killed, my number 1 choice was Abraham, on who I believed was killed in the end of season 6. My top 3 were, number 1 was Abraham, number 2 was Daryl, and number 3 was actually Glenn, because like most people, I read the comics. Again, though, I did not suspect that they would kill Glenn in the same episode as Abraham. Like, I did not predict that there would be 2 deaths back to back in this episode. There were rumors that more than one person was going to die, but I did not want to believe the rumor. That's why I was highly surprised that we got a back-to-back Lucille bashing death, and especially it being one of the remaining Atlanta 5, and seeing Rick so broken, and seeing Negan almost make Rick chop off Rick's own son's arm off. I don't know. I'm scared for Rick because he's really broken. I'm scared for Daryl because he was pretty much kidnapped by the Saviors. Maggie is showing some straight up strength after this. I'm surprised. But it was just way too much for me my body was not, I knew in my head, like I said, I predicted Abraham. I read the comics on Glenn. I figured he was going to die in season 7. I just didn't think it'd be that soon and back to back with Abraham. So like I knew it with Abraham and Glenn. I knew it, but my body and brain and my heart was not prepared for it. All I gotta say is rest in peace to the heart and soul and the center of hope, Glenn Rhee, as well as rest in peace to the strength and honor, which is Sergeant Abraham Ford. You got the actors, Michael and Steven. You guys are amazing. And especially you, Steven, because you were there from the beginning. You were there since season 1. Glenn, your last words being, "I'll find you again," were really heartbreaking. Seeing that dream sequence where you're having a happy meal with your, like eating happily with your family and what seems to be your son in your arms. It was just heartbreaking, but I give props to Sergeant Abraham Ford for, you know what, Negan, he didn't conquer you. He didn't conquer you at all, because your last words were "suck my nuts," and that was the greatest thing I've ever seen in my life. So you may have been killed by Negan, Sergeant Abraham Ford, but Negan didn't beat you. So rock on to you. And the famous last words of Sergeant Abraham Ford and Glenn Rhee: "I will always find you and suck my nuts." So, yeah, this is my reaction rant. I pushed back Legends of Tomorrow Season 2, Episode 2, titled Justice Society of America. I was supposed to do it like Friday, Saturday, but instead, I pushed it back so I could record my predictions on who died at the end of season 6, and I ended up having 4 videos in that, and I was going to record Legends of Tomorrow right now, but then, I watched the season 7 premiere, and there was so much going in my head that I had to talk about it, so again, I pushed it back again. So, since right now it's literally 1:50 in the morning, it's Monday right now, 1:50 in the morning, and I will most likely have this uploaded later on when I wake up later on, and once with these 3 videos uploading, I will most likely record Legends of Tomorrow season 2 episode 2 titled The Justice Society of America. So yeah, I'll see you guys soon, BootTube. Don't worry. Here's my hug to you guys. We were not ready for this. We all predicted this, but our bodies were not ready for this. Our hearts were not ready for this, especially when it came to Glenn. So, love you, Glenn, and love you too to Abraham. Peace, BootTube.